So we will start with text 6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmaneva Pashyati Sarvabhuteshu Satmanam Tato Na Vichurupsate. I will read the word translation. Yeah, he who, too, but Sarvani, all, Bhutani, living entities, Atmani, in relation to the Supreme Lord, Eva, only, Anupashyati, observes in a systematic way, Sarvabhutesu, in every living being, Cha, and Atmanam, the supersoul, Tata, thereafter, Na, not, Vichukupsate, hates anyone. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada. He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his part and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. We have the purport. I would like to read it together. Someone wants to read the first paragraph, please? Any volunteers? Yes, Divya Lila, please read.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a description of the Mahabhagavata, the great personality who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord's presence is realized in three stages. The Kanishta Adhikari is in the lower stage of realization. He goes to a place of worship, such as a temple, church, or mosque, according to his religious faith, and worships there according to scripture injunctions. Devotees in this stage consider the Lord to be present at the place of worship and nowhere else. They cannot ascertain who is in what position in devotional service, nor can they tell who has realized the Supreme Lord. Such devotees follow the routine formulas and sometimes quarrel among themselves, considering one type of devotion better than another. These Kanishta Adhikaris are actually materialistic devotees who are simply trying to transcend the material boundary to reach the spiritual plane.
Thank you. Someone can read the second paragraph.
Those who have attained the second stage of realization are called Madhyamadhikaris. These devotees observe the distinctions between four categories of being. First, the Supreme Lord. Second, the devotees of the Lord. Third, the innocent who have no knowledge of the Lord. And fourth, the atheists who have no faith in the Lord and hate those in devotional service. The Madhyamadhikari behaves differently toward these four classes of persons. He adores the Lord, considering him the object of love. He makes friends with those who are in devotional service. He tries to awaken the dormant love of God in the hearts of the innocent, and he avoids the atheists who deride the very name of the Lord.
Thank you. Someone else, the third paragraph.
May I continue, Maharaj?
You can continue, yes.
Above the Madhyamadhikari is the Uttamadhikari, who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee does not discriminate between an atheist and a theist, but sees everyone as part and parcel of God. He knows that there is no essential difference between a vastly learned Brahmana and a dog in the street, because both of them are part and parcel of the Lord, although they are engaged in different bodies on account of the different qualities of their activities in their previous lives. He sees that the Brahmana, partial of the Supreme Lord, has not misused his little independence given him by the Lord, and that the dog, parti- particle has misused his independence and is therefore being punished by the laws of nature by being engaged in the form of a dog, not considering the respective actions of the Brahman and a dog. The Uttamadhikari tries to do good to both. Such a learned devotee is not misled by material bodies but is attracted by the spiritual spark within them.
Thank you. I will continue. Those who imitate an Uttam Adhikari by flaunting a sense of oneness or fellowship but will behave on the bodily platform are actually false philanthropists. The conception of universal brotherhood must be learned from an Uttam Adhikar and not from a foolish person who does not properly understand the individual soul or the Supreme Lord's Supersoul expansion who dwells everywhere. It is clearly mentioned in the sixth mantra that one should observe or systematically see. This means that one must follow the previous acharyas, the perfect teachers. Anupashati is the exact Sanskrit word used in this connection. Anu means to follow and Pashati means to observe. Thus the word Anupashati means that one should not see things as he does with the naked eye, but should follow the previous acharyas. Due to material defects, the naked eye cannot see anything properly. One cannot see properly unless one has heard from a superior source, and the highest source is the Vedic wisdom which is spoken by the Lord himself. Vedic truths are coming in disciplic succession from the Lord to Brahma, from Brahma to Narada, from Narada to Vyas, and from Vyas to his many disciples. Formerly, there was no need to record message of the Vedas. Because people in earlier ages were more intelligent and sharper memories, they could follow the instructions simply by hearing once from the mouth of a bona fide spiritual master. At present, there are many commentaries on the revealed scriptures, but most of them are not in line of the disciplic succession coming from Srila Vyasadeva, who originally compiled the Vedic wisdom. The final, most perfect and sublime work by Srila Vyasadeva is Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. There is also Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken by the Lord himself and recorded by Vyasadeva. These are the most important revealed scriptures, and any commentary that contradicts the principles of Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam is unauthorized. There is complete agreement among the Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam, and no one should try to reach any conclusion about the Vedas without receiving instructions from members of Vyasadeva's disciplic succession who believe in the personality of Godhead and his diverse energies, as they are explained in Sri Upanishad. According to Bhagavad Gita 1854, only one who is already liberated on the platform of Brahma Bhuta can become an Uttam Adhikari devotee, and see every living being as his own brother. This vision cannot be had by politicians who are always after some material gain. One who imitates the symptoms of an Uttamadhikari may serve another's outwards body for the purpose of fame or material reward, but he does not serve the spirit soul. Such an imitator can have no information of the spiritual world. The Uttam Adhikari sees the spirit soul within the material world and serves him as spirit. Thus the material aspect is automatically served. So this is the commentary by Prabhupada on Sri Isopanishad 6. So now we will discuss Srila Prabhupada's commentary on Mantra 6. So this verse 6 and 7 is about how to develop spiritual vision. And our spiritual vision develops according to our level of advancement, and there are 3 levels of devotees. That's the essence, what is explained in this mantra. Om Jnanatimandasya Jnanasananslakya Sakshun Militamena Tasmai Shigurve Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane. Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paskachani. There's a tagline. So this is an overview of this section. We are at Mantra 6. First, develop spiritual vision by seeing worldly things, events, and people with equanimity. That's the theme we are discussing in this verse 6 and 7. So we have here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the Kanishta, the Madhyam, and Uttam Adhikar, and then about real brothership, real oneness, which can only be attained by the Uttam Adhikar, as we have heard. So this is based on the verses of the Śrīmad Bhagavatam. In the Śrīmad Bhagavatam, there we have the Nava Yogendras, 9 Yogendras, which are Paramahamsa, liberated souls, sons of King Rishabhadev. They are visiting King Nimi, and King Nimi asked them questions. And he asked Havya Govenda about the different levels of devotees. And Havya Govenda replies that Acharyam evaharaye puchamya shradaye hate natad bhakti susanyasu sabhakta prakita smitaha. The devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly toward other devotees or people is called a prakrita bhakta, materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. So there are different classifications of these 3 levels of devotees. This is the verse of the Bhagavatam, and here the Kanishta Adhikar is called a Prakriti Bhakta, a materialistic devotee. But we have also an analysis of these 3 levels in verse 5 of Nectar of Instruction. In Nectar of Instruction, verse 5, there these 3 levels are mentioned. Krishneti yasya giridam manasadriyeta dikshasti satpanadibissabhajantam isham. Sususaya bachana vishyamanamyam anya indadi sunya ridemipsita sangalapya. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of the Lord. One should offer humble obeisance to the devotee that has undergone spiritual initiation and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So in this verse, it is said here, 3 types of devotees are mentioned: the Kanishta, the Madhyam, and the Uttam Adhikar. The Kanishta Adhikar is a neophyte who has received the Harinam initiation from a spiritual master, which is no Brahminical initiation, Harinam association, and is trying to chant the holy name of the Lord. He tries. One should respect such a person within the mind as a Kanishta Vaishnava. But if we go to the Bhagavatam 11 to yeah, here, share, go back. Not Bhagavatam 11, 4, 24, 27. That's 11. Expansion. It was chapter 2. Chapter 2. Yeah. Is it 27, 47? 47, I think. Well, Maharajnimi said, please now tell me in greater detail about the devotees of the Supreme Lord. What are the natural symptoms by which I can distinguish between the most advanced devotees, those on the middle level, and those who are neophytes? What are typical religious activities of a Vaishnava, and how does he speak specifically describe the symptoms and characteristics by which Vaishnavas become dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So, Javier starts with the Uttamadhikar, then he speaks about the Madhyamadhikar, and then he speaks about the Kanishta 47. That in the purport. A devotee should not see anything as being separate from the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Either fire, air, ether, water, earth, the sun, and other luminaries, all living beings, the directions, trees, and other plants, the rivers and the oceans, whatever a devotee experiences, he should consider to be an expansion of Krishna. Thus, seeing everything that exists within the creation as the body of the Supreme Lord Hari, the devotee should offer his sincere respects to the entire expansion of the Lord's body. That is the vision of a Mahabhagavat. So that's the Mahabhagavat. It sees everything connected with the Supreme Lord. This vision of the Mahabhagavat we find also in Bhagavad Gita 5:29. Sarva bhutastamatmanam sarva bhutani satmana ikshate yogi yuktatma sarvata samadakshana. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every living being in me. Indeed, a self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. And text 6:30. Yomam pashati sarvastar sarvasamaya pashati dasyam napanashati. Sasame napanashati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So that's the Uttam Adhikar. But this verse speaks about the Kanishta. But in the purport here, first we have Madhvacharya, who states that the Madhyamadhikar, we will see sees four categories. He sees the Lord and wants to develop prema, love for the Lord. He sees the devotee and wants to make friendships with the devotees. He sees the innocents and wants to give them Krishna consciousness, but he avoids those who are against Krishna consciousness, the atheists, that asuras. So that's mentioned here. That although he does not have a general sense that everyone is ultimately meant to be a devotee of the Supreme Lord, he tries to use everything in the service of the Lord, aware that everything belongs to the Lord. He may be bewildered by the association with atheistic men. What does it mean? So these categories, they are seen from different criteria. And one way to see the one criteria is faith and knowledge. So the Kanishta, the beginner, has very little faith, and no knowledge practically. And that brings him in a dangerous position. The Madhyamadikar, one who is halfway after 40 years of practice, you become liberated, you become a Madhyamadikar. And then when you are a Madhyamadikar, you have great faith, but your knowledge is not perfect. So therefore it says he may be bewildered by association with atheistic men. But the Uttamadikar has great faith and perfect knowledge. And he's on the transcendental platform. But now we were discussing the beginner, the Kanishta. That we must say that, because that's many times a misconception by devotees. The Madhyam is halfway devotional service. He's on the Brahma Buddha stage. And that verse is quoted in this purport that we have read of Sri Upanishad 1854. Brahma Buddha Pashanatma Shusti Nakangsti Samasavesha Butsu Mad Bhakti Labate Param. Brahma Buddha means spiritual platform. When one is on the spiritual platform, one is Pashanatma, peaceful. And that means one is peaceful, one does not lament anymore, one does not hanker anymore, no material desires anymore. That in that state, one is a good candidate to develop love for Krishna and come to the Uttam platform, the highest platform. But that's the liberated position. Because Rupa Goswami gives us 9 stages from Shraddha to Prema. Shraddha, you have some faith, then association with devotees. Sadhu Sangha, taking initiation, learning from the devotees how to practice devotional service. And one practices devotional service, Bhajana Kriya. And after Bhajana Kriya, in the beginning is Anishtita, it's not study. But then one becomes steady in one's sadhana. And then one starts to give up offenses. And as offenses start to cease, one comes to anartha nivritti. And the heart becomes purified. And when the heart is complete purified, after 30, 40 years of different lifetimes, one becomes a Madhyamadikar, Nishta. And that's the platform of the Brahman. That we get Brahman initiation in ISKCON, but that does not mean you are a Brahman. You are a good candidate to become a Brahman. And after liberation, you become a Brahman. That's a liberated state. And that's the beginning of pure devotional service. The practice of pure devotional service can be before. But that's the stage where the heart is pure. And that's the Madhyamadikar. And a Madhyamadikar acts as a preacher. He preaches to the innocents. He's a preacher. Makes friends with devotees, avoids the atheists, and tries to develop sincerely love of God. We can act as a Madhyamadikar. We can act as such. And that's our duty. But that does not mean that we are a Madhyamadikar, because you act as a Madhyamadikar. But when you act as a Madhyamadikar, you may become more quickly to that level. That's the Madhyam. But here, then we have Madhvacharya speaks here about the Kanishta. He has no idea that the Supreme Lord has the power to exist outside a search of the temple. So he's going to the temple and worships the deity. And he believes the deity is God. But he has not realized that the same deity is in his heart. That the same deity is in the heart of others. So that is a problem. In other words, a Kanishta does not understand who is advanced and who is not advanced. And therefore he makes offenses. Acharya Mahavichanyam, that is a verse Krishna speaks in the Uddhava Gita. He says, Acharya is very dear to me. The Shikshago or the Dikshago are Acharya. Both are equally dear to me. The Kanishta thinks my guru is everything, and those of other gurus, they are not so advanced. But my guru is an Uttamadikar. And yeah, I listen to my guru, but not to the others who are more advanced than me. That's the Kanishta Adhikar. And he makes one offense after another, and he goes, and it's very difficult to make advancement in devotional service for the Kanishta Adhikar. So, although he has a general sense that everyone is ultimately meant to be a devotee of the Lord, he tries to use everything in the service of the Lord, aware that everything belongs to the Lord, but he may be bewildered. No, that's the Madhyam, sorry. It's further. Thus, he cannot understand the Madhyam or Uttam standards of devotional service. So therefore, he cannot understand who is advanced, who is not advanced. So because of his false pride, he criticizes the more advanced devotees of the Lord and neglects or simply has no understanding of their exalted position as preachers or completely realized souls. Another symptom of the Kanishta Adhikar is that he is infatuated by the material qualifications of great materialistic persons. Having a bodily concept of life himself, is attracted by material opulence, and thus minimizes the position of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Such a Kanishta Adhikar, therefore, is disturbed if a second-class devotee criticizes the non-devotees of the Lord. In the name of compassion or kindness, the Kanishta Adhikar approves the non-devotional activities of such materialistic men. Because the Kanishta Adhikar is ignorant of the higher realms of devotional service and the unlimited transcendental bliss of Krishna consciousness, he sees devotional service merely as a religious aspect of life, but thinks that life has many enjoyable and worthwhile non-devotional aspects. So that is, therefore, he becomes angry with the second-class devotees, who are experiencing that Krishna is everything, criticizing the non-devotees. Madhvacharya says that such a person, because of his rudimentary faith in Krishna, is considered a devotee, but is Bhaktadam, a devotee of the lowest standards. If such materialistic devotees follow the rules and regulations of deity worship, they will really be elevated to a higher standard and eventually become pure devotees of the Lord, unless they commit offenses against other devotees, in which case their advancement will be checked. This is a very revealing purport. So this is a big discussion, and I think it's very much needed in our society today, because Kanishta is a broad aspect. There are the beginners, and those who are practicing 30, 40 years, and they are nearly still Kanishta. There's a difference between one who practices, Kanishta who has practiced 20, 30 years Krishna consciousness, and the beginner. There is a real difference. And we should understand that difference. So we go back first to our slides and share again. So that is the Kanishta Adhikar, the Madhyam Adhikar. We discussed already, but I read a verse from the Bhagavatam. Ishvar tatadini subhanshi strivatshya prema maitra kipom ekshayat karoti samatyami. That so an intermediate or second class devotee called Madhyam Adhikar offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So prema, he gives prema to Ishvar in the Sanskrit. Is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord. That means Maitri. He gives friendship to the Tat Adinashu, the devotees. Shows mercy to the ignorant people. So Kripa for the Bali Shesha. And disregard those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Upeksha for the Tvivatsa. Yes. And now we come to the Uttam Adhikar, the highest. Shri Havil Vacha Sarvabhuteshi Apashad Bhagavat Bhavam Atmanam Udani Bhagavat Atmani Esha Bhagavatottama. She has said the most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna, consequently, he sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. So in the Bhagavad Gita we learned 5:18, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmana Grava Hastini Sunni Shiv Swapati Prakacha Pandita Samadakshan. That the self-realized soul sees the soul, the super soul, in the heart of an elephant, a Brahman, a Chandala, a meat eater, and so on, and dog eater. So yes, you have different kinds of persons. You have the materialist. They are attached to matter. They're attached from Krishna. Krishna does not exist. The Mayavadi, the impersonalist, is detached from matter, but also detached of Krishna. He wants only Brahman. And the Sahaja, the one who takes it very cheap, he wants to be attached to matter and attached to Krishna. But that's a problem. That's a problem because if our attachment to matter is high, our attachment for Krishna is low. If our attachment to Krishna is high, our attachment to matter becomes automatically low. But the sadhus, they want like this, attached to both, but that's not possible. The devotees, they are detached from matter and attached to Krishna. That is different. So the pure devotee is detached from matter and attached to Krishna. The Prakriti Bhakta is attached to Maya and to Krishna, both. And the Madhyam, he realizes God's presence is not limited to the deity, but extends beyond the deity also. Anandita, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances, respectful obeisances. Maharaj, can I ask one question from the previous topic?
Sure.
Maharaj, you mentioned that one who is on the Nishtha platform, they are on the Brahman platform and they should get, at that platform, one should get the Brahman initiation. If I've understood it correctly, have I understood it correctly?
No, that's one who is Nishtha is on the platform of a Brahman. If we get in ISKCON Brahman initiation, then the spiritual master sees the candidate, he sees the devotee or the disciple as a good candidate to become a Brahman in the future and to develop the qualities of a Brahman which manifest in full at the platform of Nishtha. That is what I wanted to explain. Does that clarify?
So it is the Siksha Guru mainly through which you are more connected or regularly connected. It is that person who will judge you that whether you are situated on the platform of Nishtha or not. And only on that level one should aspire to get Brahman Diksha, right?
No, it's not at all that, what I'm saying. That the perfect Brahman is situated on the platform of Nishtha.
Okay.
And if we get Brahman initiation in ISKCON, then the spiritual master sees in the disciple that he has the qualities, that he begins to develop the qualities which will lead in the future to become a Brahman.
Okay.
But he's on the way.
Okay.
So a Brahman initiation means beginning, initiation is the beginning of becoming a Brahman.
Okay.
It's not being a Brahman, it's initiation, beginning.
Okay.
That should
Understood.
Be understood. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Maharaj, you have just shown the slide that the materialist is attached and detached. The slide is very profound. With the short few words, you explained so many things. Thank you for sharing
Thank
this.
you. Yeah. Ashita, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances to Lotus feet. Maharaj, I wanted to ask two questions primarily. So first is, like you said, that it is very difficult to advance from the Kanishta stage because of so many misconceptions and so many offenses. It is very difficult to advance, and also that even after 20-30 years, one might be a Kanishta only, not might be a fully Madhyam Adhikari. So how can we factually advance and quickly advance that after 20 years we are not at the Kanishta platform? Because time is so short, how can we factually advance?
I understand your concern, that, and I think it's all our concern. I remember 20 years ago, I was traveling as an assistant of Prahladananda Swami. And he gave a seminar on the purport of Nectar of Instruction Text 5, a whole seminar. There were many sessions, 8 sessions, on one purport, Nectar of Instruction 5, which discusses in the purport these 3 levels. And at the end of the presentation, he said, I'm still a Kanishta. So he was practicing at that time already for 40 years, Krishna consciousness. He says, I'm still a Kanishta. But, like I said, Kanishta is levels. It's a big spectrum, Kanishta. There are those who are nearly Madhyamadikar and those who are really beginners. Prabhupada instructed us, we should in this life become Madhyamadikars, and then you don't take birth again. So that's the purpose. We should come to that level of Madhyam Adhikar. But those who are nearly liberated, they are nearly there. Their heart has become nearly pure. And that's certainly possible after 30, 40 years to come nearly to that platform. And with the mercy of Krishna, you can reach the goal at the end of life. But Madhyamadikar is a higher platform. Because the stages from Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajna Kriya, Anartha-nivritti, up to Nishtha, that takes a long time. But once you are a Madhyamadikar, it's like a magnet, you become attracted to Krishna. And the stages above go much quicker and are only achieved by the mercy of Krishna. That this is all explained in Harinam Chintamani in relation to the chanting. The names are a little different. Anartha-nivritti is called Namavas. But it's the same thing. The same thing as in Madhurya Kanambini by Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur. So this is something we need all to learn. About 20 years ago, as a brahmachari, was traveling with Prahlad Maharaj, and in the evening, he would give Bhagavad Gita class, 20 minutes, and then I would speak 20 minutes. And then in private, he would give me feedback on my preaching. Sometimes sweet, sometimes not so sweet, but I learned. But one thing he always said is, in your preaching, you need to explain to devotees that Krishna consciousness is a process with stages. And we need to understand at what stage we are. That here in Sri Upanishad, of course, it's explained in terms of spiritual vision. That seeing Krishna in everyone's heart and in your own heart. That I remember a few weeks last year, must have around this time, Kadamba Khan Maharaj, who left us, he gave a talk to the sannyas candidates. I'm still serving in the sannyas ministry. And he was speaking about sannyas life. So in Bhagavad Gita, he said that one should not take sannyas unless the heart is pure or nearly pure. But what is that sannyas life? We see the external things, renunciation and so on. But sannyas life, Kalamkana Maharaj said, and yes, and this is very true. Sannyas life means learning. You are living constantly in a relationship with Krishna in the heart. That's real sannyas, and that's for all of us. We have all to come to this sannyas, living with Krishna in the heart. And that's the Uttam Adhikar. And your question is, how can I come as quick as possible to that point? That there is no wonder middle. You must purify your heart. But there are ways to purify your heart quicker. And that's by pleasing Krishna. And we please Krishna by pleasing the spiritual master. We please the spiritual master by pleasing Prabhupada. The mercy comes to Prabhupada. That if we please the mission of Srila Prabhupada, when we engage in his mission and we please him, that's the shortcut. Then because we need mercy. It's not just our own endeavor. It's a combination of endeavor and mercy. That, because like you say, it's a struggle. We want to purify our heart, but we are attached. And therefore we make offenses. And we cannot purify our heart. It's a vicious circle. It's like we cannot get out of it. But we can get out of it by the mercy of the spiritual master. We can get out of it only by the mercy, also by the mercy of the holy name, by constant chanting. This is in Harinam Sintamani. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sharing that with you. I hope that helps you.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you so much. So we have hope.
Yeah, we have hope. Right. Okay.
And yes, sir.
Good. Mandaleshwar, please.
Maharaj, I have one more question.
Okay, yeah. Okay, first your question. Yeah.
Maharaj, you said that we must act as Madhyam Adhikari. It is our duty. So why should, when we know that we are not at that level, why should we act in that way? How will it help us?
That, well, I just come to answer that question. How to get the mercy is by engaging Prabhupada's preaching mission. And so although we are Kanishta, we must act as a Madhyam. And acting as a Madhyam is acting as a preacher. And when we act as a preacher, we get the mercy. So that's the answer. We must act as a Madhyam Adhikari. That's how to get it.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah. And Maharaj, you showed that slide in which who was attached to matter and who was attached to Krishna. So the Mayavadi is detached from both matter and Krishna, while the Sahajiya is attached to both matter and Krishna. So just out of curiosity, which one is better? One who is attached to matter but still attached to Krishna, is the Sahajiya better than the Mayavadi, or?
The materialist remains in this world. The Mayavadi can temporarily get Brahman realization, but comes back to this material world. The Sahaja is a cheater. He doesn't get anything. That some sentiment that Krishna is there. Or one becomes a Sakam Bhaktam, like the demigods. You serve Krishna, but you want also to rule and to enjoy, and that, but in service to Krishna. But this is Sakam. But Saj is mostly, and devotees, they get Krishna. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Mandaleshwar, please.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, Dandal Pranam. Please accept my obedience. Maharaj, just we are until we are in bodily conception, we could not escape from the mistakes what we are doing. Every time we are in bodily conceptions, so we are committing mistakes so many times. But how to overcome from this bodily conception, and we are understand that we are not body, we are soul. How to come that realization to Maharaj? Please explain.
Yeah, that's a good question. How to come out of the bodily concept of life? First, that's a gradual process. This false ego, this not a false ego, is very strong. And what does the scriptures say about this knot? You must cut it with the sword of knowledge. Knowledge, this is related to transcendental knowledge, realized knowledge. How to get this realized knowledge? Two ways. That we hear about Krishna from the spiritual master, from the scriptures. And we hear it every day, either every day hearing the Bhagavatam. hearing about devotees who are not into the bodily concept of life. And surely we will get the point. After many years hearing, we get the point. It's a gradual process. That so hearing daily. And the other way is serving Krishna. Tesham satyuknam bacham pidavukam dodami buddhyam tam yenam mam upayantite. If you serve me with a little love, then I give you this realized knowledge. And how does he do that? Tesham evanagampatam amakyana chamtama nasa jamatma vavasta gyanati panavashvata. With the lamp of knowledge, Gyanati Pani, I burn away all your ignorance, and the real knowledge becomes manifested. But what's the problem? Piti Purvakam. We don't have even this Piti Purvakam, this little love. But Krishna says, Tatvina Panapana Paraprashna Sivya Protection to take him Jnanas, that production. You accept the spiritual master, serve him, inquire from him humbly. If we do that, Krishna accepts that as a little love. And we get gradually the realization. So these two things we should do day after day. And every day we do these two things. Following the instructions of the spiritual master, in serving Krishna and hearing the Bhagavatam, then we will hardly get out of this body concept of life. Our taste will change, but it's a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. Does that help?
Thank you, Maharaj, very much.
Thank you. So, Mother Anandita, please.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj, for your nice replies. Maharaj, again, I have a question regarding the Brahman initiation. A person like me who is struggling very hard with anartha nivrittis. So, obviously, I'm not looking for the Bhakti śāstrī degree for getting Brahman initiation, because all the time I feel that I don't know how many years it will take to accept the mood of Brahman initiation. So I need your guidance in this regard. And there is another question also.
Yeah, this to get Brahman initiation is a good opportunity to advance in devotional service and to become more serious in cleanliness, in punctuality, in serving Krishna with care. Deity worship is regulating your life. It's helping to purify you further. So it's a good occasion to go for Brahman initiation. You just must be a little serious to try to develop these qualities. But we should not think, because I have Brahman initiation, I'm a Brahman. No? That's wrong. Just we have to guard the right attitude. And it's nice to follow this Bhakti śāstrī. Then we get to know really what we are busy with if we are studying properly. So it's all helping us to go forward. So I would not hesitate to go for Brahman initiation and trying to become and trying to become to develop these qualities, these spiritual qualities. That's a great opportunity. And deity worship will purify you more. Yeah, it's helpful for further purification. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you so much. Maharaj, in continuation with Harshita Mataji's question, like for me also, I'm at the lowest stage of Kanishta Adhikari, not at the mid stage or at the higher stage. So my question is that unless I'm able to see Krishna in every living entity's heart, maybe they are good to me or not, or whatever. So unless that platform comes in my mind or in my heart, and if I'm fully convinced that, yeah, Krishna is there, maybe he or she is not doing good with you, but there must be some Krishna's arrangement, and he is doing this to teach you something, and we can pray to Krishna, please help us to understand. So unless this platform is achieved, this is a minimum thing, that unless I get to understand every time, I will be on the Kanishta platform, right? This
Yeah,
is one
but
of the aspects.
that may be, but you may be on the higher spheres of the Kanishta Adhikar, that your heart may become nearly purified. It's just a designation. We are not his body, we are not our contamination. We should not focus on these things. It's part of our body conditioning, this contamination. That just focus on the positive. I become purified. That because once you are purified, you go back to the spiritual world. So that's our process on become purified. The Madhyama Adhikar is practically completely purified. That's the purpose of sadhana bhakti. After that Raganuga bhakti may come in after that, after liberation. But that's it's a great opportunity. Good, thank you. Then
Thank you, Maharaj. So preaching is the most potent way to rise up to the level of Madhyamadhikari, you mentioned.
meeting Srila Prabhupada and the spiritual master should be the same.
Yeah,
Yes.
and obviously, whatever is the mood of our Guru Maharaj, whatever pleases, obviously he is also trying to please Prabhupada only, but every Maharaj's mood is different. Some is more pleased in book distribution, some is more pleased in preaching, like that.
Yeah, but they are only representatives of Prabhupada.
Yeah, it's true.
But, so they are there to explain us Prabhupada's mood and Prabhupada's teachings.
Definitely.
And like in 2018, I was at the Bhaktivedanta Manar in England. And together with my spiritual master, Bhakti Charamaj. And he was going to give initiation at many devotees who were graduates of my Bhakti śāstrī course. And he wanted me to speak to them in his presence. Very, very embarrassing. So before speaking, I asked my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Charamaj, please bless me. And he told me, no. And he pointed to Prabhupada, the deity of Prabhupada, and said, this is where the mercy comes from. So that's a bona fide spiritual master. He does not think himself a spiritual master. He sees him as a servant of Prabhupada. So that we should always remember, that the spiritual master helps us to understand Prabhupada's instructions. And there are also other Shiksha gurus who can also help us to understand these instructions. And these instructions may be understood from different angles of view, which are all correct. A Kanishta does not understand this unity in diversity. That's a problem of the Kanishta. Okay, is that okay, Mother Anandita?
Yes, Jai. I've heard that His Holiness on the Vyas Puja of His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj, he always used to name that as Prabhupada Memorial Day, and he used to glorify Prabhupada more than himself.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Krishna. Mother Sita.
Maharaj, sorry to interrupt again. I just wanted to clarify that you told that Prabhupada said when we come to the Madhyam platform, we are eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Is that so?
Yeah, when we are on the Madhyam platform, we don't take birth again, Srila Prabhupada said, because it's a platform of liberation. But of course, mostly when we are a devotee goes quickly over that and come quickly to the higher levels. Once you get liberation, it's going very quickly to become a pure devotee. And what is the example? Srimad Bhagavatam, that Srila Sukadev Goswami. He was the example. He was born on the liberated platform. He was on the Brahma Buddha platform, but he was not yet a devotee. But by hearing the verses of the Bhagavatam, immediately he became a devotee. Immediately, practically. So there's not much between. You become attracted to Krishna. That there is no material impediment anymore. Another example of the Bhagavatam are the 4 Kumaras. Just by smelling, for the first time at the gate of Vaikuntha, they saw Lord Narayan, and they smelled the aroma of the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. And immediately their mind changed. Immediately they became devotees. So for a devotee, this platform of liberation is a very short transitional thing. Soon you get Ashakti, you find Krishna in your heart. That Ruchi, Ashakti, and then Bhava. And then, yeah, you don't take birth again, or you take birth in a universe where Krishna is his pastimes to be further trained up, but that's already a spiritual birth. So we don't have to worry that we even don't have to worry if our heart is not completely pure when we leave our body. In our next life, we will be trained further. Krishna has made these arrangements. Because we are devotees in this life, Prabhupada said, because we were devotees in our previous lives. If you are just taking birth in Bharatvarsha, means you were a devotee in your previous life. Just taking birth in that holy land. Because that's the difference between India and the West. In India, everyone is educated and everyone knows I'm a spirit soul, I'm not a body, at least theoretically. They know Bhagavad Gita. In the West, nobody believes in that. Nobody believes in the soul. That's a big advantage. Already just taken birth in India. So you are on the way that the future is bright. We just have to go on, stay on the boat and continue with our sadhana. And we will come to that point. Does that help, Shita?
Yes, Maharaj. What I was thinking is that if we die as a Madhyama and we don't come back, so will we go to Vaikuntha, or will we be stuck in Vaikuntha, or will we be able to go to Golok, or in some universe where Krishna is having his pastimes?
If you are not completely purified, Krishna will let you take birth in a family of advanced transcendentalists, or in a universe where he has his pastimes, and you will be trained up by Nitya Siddha devotees. Whether you go to Vaikuntha or Golok, Vaikuntha you go if you believe in Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu, and you have attachment to Lord Vishnu in awe and reverence. Then you go to Vaikuntha. But if you have attachment to Krishna, then we don't go to Vaikuntha. We go to Golok in one of the 5 main rasas. That's explained in Nectar of Devotion. These 5 rasas that, and the highest rasa is the conjugal rasa, is the most intense love for Krishna. But that's Golok. So it depends on your consciousness, how your consciousness is developed. But anyway, after liberation, Krishna takes care of you. It's not in your power anymore. He takes care. That's the point. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
So we continue. The development from a Kanishta to Madhyam is building up towards how we can see Krishna everywhere. First, the spiritual reality in the temple and the deity, then see the Lord and see the relationship with everyone. The Madhyam sees Krishna, starts to see Krishna in the heart of others and in his heart, own heart. That starts to develop and is fully developed when he becomes an Uttam. Then he sees the Lord everywhere. And then he becomes actually a devotee of Krishna. Then this is the last part of the report, oneness versus real. So bodily oneness is false. Prabhupada explains in the purport that we have read. There is bodily diversity. Everyone is different on the spiritual platform, but on the spiritual, on the bodily platform, but on the spiritual platform, we are all equal. So there is spiritual unity. We are all Mamaivam Suchivelika Jiva Buddha Sanatana. We are all separated part and parcels of Krishna. So spiritually, everyone is equal. Materially, everyone is different. This is the principle of the Varnashram system. Everyone is materially different. One is Vaishya, Kshatriya, is Brahman, Sudra. So we are all different. But we go all to the 4 ashrams, Brahmachari, that śāstrī, panaprastha, sannyas. Spiritually, we have to go to these 4. That these external activities of the body and the mind are only a way to be active in Krishna consciousness. But the internal development is the path is for everyone the same. So, but we can see this oneness through anupashyati, seeing through the previous acharyas. According to śāstrī, śāstrī as one message, it is said here, liberated person's vision is truly beneficial. So anupashyati, seeing is believing in a permanent progress. Yeah, seeing is believing is a permanent progress stopper, intellectually and behaviorally. So that's the materialist. When I see it, I believe. Otherwise, not. That. But Shastra is one message, and that is what Madhvacharya mentioned. Vedayika Vakyate. Scripture is omniform. Multi-level messages seem contradictory to the uninformed, but it is seen as complementary by the well-informed. So that we will see further in the next text. But I want to have a short pause now. It's at your side. Yeah, it's 20:43. Let's resume at 5 to 9. Have a pause, and then we will look at the next verse 7. Thank you. Hare Krishna. See you soon. We continue with mantra 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yasmin Sarvani Bhutani Atmaiva Bhut Vijanata. Tatra Moaka Soka Ekatvam Anupashyata. No. Word for word translation. Yasmin, in the situation. Sarvani, all. Bhutani, living entities. Atma, the Shitkan or spiritual spark. Eva, only. Adbhut, exist as. Vijanata, of one who knows. Tatra, therein. Kaha, what. Moha, illusion. Ka, what. Shoka, anxiety. Ekatvam, oneness in quality. Anupashyata, of one who sees through authority, or one who sees constantly like that. Translation. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. Then what can be illusion or anxiety? What can be illusion or anxiety for him? Now the purport. Yeah, 5 paragraphs, 6 paragraphs. We will read only the first 3 to start with. Someone wants to read the first paragraph, please.
Hare Krishna. Harshita Mataji, please go on.
Mataji, you can read, I think.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Except for the Madhyam Adhikari and Uttam Adhikari discussed above, no one can correctly see the spiritual position of a living being. The living entities are qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord, just as the sparks of a fire are qualitatively one with the fire. Yet, sparks are not fire as far as the quantity is concerned. For the quantity of heat and light present in the sparks is not equal to that in fire. The Mahabhagavata, the great devotee, sees oneness in the sense that he sees everything as the energy of the Supreme Lord. Since there is no difference between the energy and energetic, there is a sense of oneness. Although from the analytical point of view, heat and light are different from fire, there is no meaning to the word fire without heat and light. In synthesis, therefore, heat, light, and fire are the same.
Yeah, someone else want to read the second paragraph?
In this mantra, the words Ekatvam Anupashyata indicate that one should see the unity of all living entities from the viewpoint of revealed scriptures. The individual sparks of the Supreme Whole, the Lord, possess almost 80% of the known qualities of the whole, but they are not quantitatively equal to the Supreme Lord. These qualities are present in minute quantity, for the living entity is but a minute part and parcel of the Supreme Whole. To use another example, the quantity of salt present in a drop is never comparable to the quantity of salt present in the complete ocean, but the salt present in the drop is qualitatively equal in chemical composition to all the salt present in the ocean. If the individual living being were equal to the Supreme Lord, both qualitatively and quantitatively, there would be no question of his being under the influence of the material energy. In the previous mantras, it has already been discussed that no living being, not even the powerful demigods, can surpass the Supreme Being in any respect. Therefore, Ekatvam does not mean that a living being is equal in all respects to the Supreme Lord. It does, however, indicate that in a broader sense there is one interest, just as in a family the interest of all members is one, or in a nation the national interest is one, although there are many different individual citizens. Since the living entities are all members of the same supreme family, their interest and that of the supreme being are not different. Every living being is the son of the supreme being. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5, all living creatures throughout the universe, including birds, reptiles, ants, aquatics, trees, and so on, are emanations of the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all of them belong to the family of the Supreme Being. There is no clash of interest.
The spiritual entities are meant for enjoyment, as stated in Vedanta Sutra 1112, Ananda Maya Vyasad. By nature and constitution, every living being, including the Supreme Lord and each of his parts and parcels, is meant for eternal enjoyment. The living beings who are engaged in a material tabernacle are constantly seeking enjoyment, but they are seeking it on the wrong platform. Apart from the material platform is the spiritual platform, where the Supreme Being enjoys himself with his innumerable associates. On that platform, there is no trace of material qualities, and therefore that platform is called Nirguna. On the Nirguna platform, there is never a clash over the object of enjoyment. Here in the material world, there is always a clash between the individual living beings because the proper center of enjoyment is missed. The real center of enjoyment is the Supreme Lord, who is the center of the sublime and spiritual rasa dance. We are all meant to join him and enjoy life with one transcendental interest and without any clash. That is the highest platform of spiritual interest, and as soon as one realizes this perfect form of oneness, there can be no question of illusion, moha, or lamentation. Soka. Now we'll discuss the first 3 paragraphs of this mantra. So we are mantra 7. First level of spiritual vision by seeing worldly things, events, and people with equanimity. So this was mantra 7, which we discussed. We read the first 3 paragraphs. The 4th paragraph builds further on the previous one and says, if there is not that oneness in interest, so if Krishna is not the oneness in interest, separate interest causes shoka and moha, suffering and illusion. So, what's the message of the mantra? We should become one in interest with God. That's the point. So we should create this ekatvam, realizing that we are oneness in quality and subordination in quantity. That's interesting. We are one in quality. Krishna is Satchidananda. We are Satchidananda. The soul is eternal. Krishna is eternal. Krishna is full of bliss and knowledge. And we are also full of bliss and knowledge, but that's now covered by the material energy. But if we realize, and because it's covered, we forget this oneness. But if by purification of the heart this knowledge is uncovered, then we become detached to this material world. We realize we have nothing to do with this material world. I went to so many lifetimes, had so many families, so many discussions, so many conflicts in thousands of lifetimes. Do I still remember them? No. So why am I so attached now to the situation now? It's ridiculous. that it's all temporary, fleeting like time. So one becomes attached and attached to Krishna, who is eternally our friend. And subordination in quantity, yes, we understand that Krishna is the controller, is a maintainer of everyone, and he's a real protector of everyone. So I'm under control of Krishna. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. There are two kinds of living beings, he says. The fallible and the infallible. But then Krishna says, beyond the fallible and infallible, I'm above them. I'm controlling the fallible and the infallible. So we are always controlled by Krishna. In the material world, the spiritual world. But in the material world, we are controlled to the material energy. In the spiritual world, to the spiritual energy. In the spiritual world, we have much more freedom. But if we understand that everything is controlled by Krishna. Everything is controlled by Krishna. He's the superintendent of material nature. That then one becomes humble. Humility comes. One understand Krishna is my only maintainer, my only protector. And one becomes subordinate to the Supreme Lord. So this is explained in the first paragraph. Bhagavan as his Shaktis. So Krishna is a Shakti man. He's controlling all his energies. And Bhagavan and his Shakti is like fire and light. When there is fire, there must be light. Or when there is fire, we heard before, there must be burning. You cannot separate it. It's, yeah. So, in the sun, you have sun god, that's Krishna. Yeah. And you have his energy, the radiance, that the Viriya radiance around the orbit of the sun is Antaranga Shakti, is eternal energy. But its rays are tatasta. It's marginal. And the sun's reflection is Bhairanga Shakti. That's, yeah, this material world is Bhairanga. And the spiritual world is Antaranga. One has not just unity in diversity, but diversity in unity. That's interesting. Like and the example is given in the rasa dance. So all the gopis were united in love with Krishna, but each gopi had different opinions and different modes, but all in conjugal love. There is diversity in the unity also. That Prabhupada wanted to discuss that always, every year, unity in diversity, how to apply it in our lives and in our movement. But this is another metaphor. You can't neglect the flow aspect. So that's interesting. The Lord's perspective, and then we will hear Queen Kunti giving us the devotees' perspective. We will first hear the Lord's perspective here. But we go to the database. These verses are interesting, but I want to bring them on the screen. That is so. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 29, 11. It's 29:11. Huh? 29:11:12 it says. Yeah. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to the hearing, the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows toward the Supreme Lord. That, yeah, that's. I'm not sure that's showed. Kapila probably would speak this verse, but let's hear the perspective now of Devahuti, first of Queen Kunti. 42. Yeah, that's the same. That it is the same subject. The beautiful prayer. The Lord of Madhura, as the Ganges flows, forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn to you, without being diverted to anyone else. That's really a great prayer. That's the perspective of the devotee. The devotee wants always his consciousness connected with Krishna. And the other was the vision of the Lord Kapila Dev, who says the same thing. My devotee should always be, his consciousness should be drawn to me. That so yes, let's go back to our slides. Yeah. Not merging but meeting. Can't neglect the flow aspect. So yes, Krishna has his energies, but we want through his energies always be connected with Krishna. We want to connect our consciousness with Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on this purport of this verse of Queen Kunti. A devotee holds nothing back, and nothing holds a devotee back. So these are two principles. But we don't hold anything back. We surrender everything to Krishna. Our consciousness, our life, our body, mind, words, everything. And nothing will stop us doing that. Nothing holds the devotee back. So that is the mood of a pure devotee. But now we have here when the object is material and our vision is material. What means material vision? Material vision means for my enjoyment, or for my family's enjoyment, or for the nation enjoyment, for the benefit of these people, of that. So that's material vision. One sees the objects as material objects of enjoyment. Then it goes as bondage. One gets karma, and we become more and more entangled and attracted to the material world. So when the object is material, but our vision is spiritual, we understand that everything belongs to Krishna. All this material, we can use it for Krishna. Then we become purified. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was in America, he saw a flatbed truck, and I was thinking, oh, we could use that for Ratha Yatra. So he saw it always in connection with Krishna. So that's purifying. When the object is spiritual, like the deity, but the vision is material, we think, oh, it's just a statue. That's offensive. Then like deity worship becomes idolatry and so on. But when the object is spiritual and we see we see spiritually, we become purified, we feel ecstasy. We see the deity as Krishna. So different levels of consciousness. We must try to be situated at this highest consciousness. Everything, seeing everything as the energy of Krishna. So that was mantra 7. Any comments or questions? Good. There are no questions. We continue tomorrow with mantra 8, finishing the section, and start the next section. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.